Hello and welcome to Momentum 3.0. Here we are with the CEO of Trustline, and we will be talking about Trustline, also about Flare, XRP, and things like that. So let's start with the first question of today, the most important question of today. That is, how are you doing today, my man?
Thank you for the question. I'm doing pretty well. It's nice and early here on the Pacific Coast, and I'm always excited to chat about DeFi.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's start with what is Trustline. In a nutshell, we want a small, brief explanation, please.
Sure. So at a high level, what Trustline is trying to accomplish here is to build out a credit network that is, native to the blockchain, utilizing cryptocurrencies, building a credit network that is perhaps more stable than what we have today, where banks are underwriting credit and you have situations like the 2008 financial crisis happening. So the idea here is to build something that will prevent such situations from arising. And where I think that really starts is with creating credit on the blockchain that is fully backed, starting there, and being able to issue that credit. So I would say, just at a high level, it's a credit network.
Nice, nice. Which network, which blockchain did you choose and why? Because I heard that it is built on Flare networks, but as Flare networks also uses XRPL, I would like to hear from you which network are you going to use, or if you are going to use both, or can you explain that, please?
Sure. So yeah, the idea is to leverage both networks. So using Flare for the smart contract capabilities, that allows us to run DeFi applications, and Flare has the F assets. So that allows you to connect value from other blockchains, such as the XRP ledger, onto the Flare network and unlock that value in DeFi applications. So I am using the XRP ledger for a couple of reasons. So the XRP asset is pretty mature in the marketplace, and the XRP ledger is incredibly fast and efficient if you're doing payments. So with Flare, you have the ability to transfer that value from the XRP ledger to the Turing complete Flare EVM, where you can do things that you can't do on the XRP ledger. But then you can also transfer that value back to the XRP ledger, and you can utilize that value that's in a DeFi context, but using it on the XRP ledger. And so essentially where I'm going with that is using that value on the XRP ledger in order to make payments and do so with quick transfers of payment and at a very low cost.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about those smart contracts. Like the main goal of some projects is to build that stablecoin, and yours is Aura, isn't it?
That's
So
right. Yeah.
can you explain that? And can you explain which stablecoin style do you follow? Because there are some, we want to hear from you. Which one are you using?
Sure. So there are a couple of different types of stable coins. The most popular are fiat collateralized stable coins, such as Tether or USDC. So these stable coins are fully backed one-to-one by like the peg currency. So in this case, the US dollar, backed one-to-one by US dollar reserves held in a bank account. So that's a fiat collateralized stablecoin. And then on the other hand, you have the crypto collateralized stablecoins, which are also backed, but instead of being backed by a fiat currency, it's backed by a cryptocurrency or set of cryptocurrencies. And it's over collateralized in case the price of the collateral goes down, then it retains its peg. So a couple of things that differentiate these two stable coins is that auditability and transparency is a big difference there. You can always verify that the funds backing a crypto collateralized stablecoin are there backing it. You can't do that with a fiat stablecoin. That bank account balance that's doing the backing is private, and auditors have to basically verify that the funds are there. And so you actually see, like with Tether, for example, there's a like allegation that they weren't fully backing the Tether currency by one-to-one with reserves. And so that was a bit of a controversy. So that's not really an issue with a crypto stablecoin.
Okay, and what is your plan about the collateral? Can we use XRP? Can we use Spark? Or what is your roadmap, your plan?
Yeah, so I'm doing some testing right now, starting with Spark, but I have it next on my list of things to do to, once I have Spark collateral working, then move on to the F assets, starting with FXRP. So that I think is critical, to provide, F asset or FXRP as collateral, because again, it's a more mature asset, and it'll help keep the peg probably a bit better, and therefore better stable currency.
Nice. And what about F dot? Do you have it in your plan or not?
Well, I suppose it could be possible if somebody wanted to do that. Maybe there would be a way, but probably wouldn't be for the best of Ore. So that's one of the key things, is how are the collateral assets determined? You see with other projects, this is a process involved with governance. So governance is pretty key, and so that's also something that is very important for Ore. But the goal is also to minimize the amount of governance as much as possible. I believe that governance itself can be somewhat of a central point of failure if not done correctly, and the possibility of it bad governance is always going to be there if there's governance. So minimizing governance as much as possible is probably the best thing to do, and that's what I hope to achieve, but with the early stages here, um, I'm taking it slowly, and we'll see it develop from there.
Nice. I have an institution working on Kava. We are working with the protocol, so it's familiar for us. Are you taking those projects as reference, like Maker, Compound, Kava? Um, what is your opinion about the flaws or the advantages that they have? Because, for example, Kava already uses XRP, in this case XRP. So, what is your position about this?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of these protocols. So Compound, MakerDAO, Aave, lending protocol, and then there are others that I am referencing. So there's a lot of aspects to these projects that they do a couple of things really well, and then there are some things that um, they are achieving that uh, aren't necessarily what a stable coin should be trying to achieve. So the kind of difference is that, and also I wanted to add Uniswap is actually something that I'm looking at very closely right now. They have this concept of automated market maker, which has become very popular. So Uniswap is now the biggest decentralized exchange in the Ethereum ecosystem. So um, this AMM, as it's called, uh, uh, me methodology is pretty interesting. So I'm combining that part with uh, different components of these other protocols, and ultimately to achieve a way to deposit cryptocurrency um, and receive loans from this, decentralized autonomous bank on the blockchain.
Nice. For example, one big problem that we have currently is the liquidation price. I think that automated market making could solve this. Like, if we are close to the liquidation price, we may automatically swap some of our XRP or Spark collateral into the stablecoin or whatever, because that was the big problem, the Black Swan event with MakerDAO. So I personally feel that that is the key right now for the kind of project that you are developing. And for example, in Kava, they are also trying to do it. Yeah, I think that we need that kind of AMM with stablecoins. Let's talk about the project, the white paper that I have been reading about. The main question here is the credit worthiness. How can we achieve this credit worthiness, or how can we measure that? I am economist, so I need to measure this kind of things. How can you measure that?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, we want to understand, how we can measure, parts of the system. It's on the blockchain. All of the, parameters are visible to everyone. So you can get an idea of the sort of risk in the system at any point in time. So I think it's a lot of the time more useful to think of things in terms of risk. And in a stablecoin system, you want to look at the collateralization level. So, there's like a total aggregate balance of, outstanding debt. So you can see, what is the collateral that is securing these loans at an aggregate level, and what is the ratio of this collateral to the basically the PEG. So, what is the collateralization ratio? Is it healthy or not? So you want to look at that from the perspective of the borrower, but also from the people who are providing the liquidity to create that ORA stablecoin liquidity pool, which is what allows people to borrow this asset. So yeah, I think it's very important for that those collateralization levels to be healthy, and I think ultimately that's what will fuel the growth of ORA trust in the system, that in the sense that you have a healthy system and that it has room to grow and expand. Obviously, like during a bull market, that will allow it to prosper, whereas in a downturn in the crypto economy, of course we'll see contraction, but it's all also based on supply and demand too. So but ultimately, the most important thing is to keep the peg for a stable coin.
And what are the incentives to achieve that goal? How can we achieve the 1-to-1 ratio with incentives here?
Right. So probably the most important incentive, I believe, is the opportunity cost of money. So, I know you like to, you mentioned you like to talk economics. I also love to talk economics too. So with this opportunity cost, there's always, some sort of cost of handling any sort of money. And in this case, you have, fiat and crypto. And if you have money in crypto, then, you can, you obviously you have it in there for a reason. So in crypto, that is because maybe you expect the price to appreciate. And more so than what you can getting higher returns than you can with fiat currency. So that's an opportunity cost, but also, using crypto itself in order to get that yield is an incentive to provide liquidity to the system. And then, so that yield and the interest rate that borrowers are charged is pretty closely related, right? So you have this interest rate. When the rates are low, you have more demand for borrowing. When the rates are high, you have the incentives for people to provide ORA liquidity. And I think that what's key here is that the market kind of like decides where that interest rate sits with regard to ORA.
Okay. Yeah.
And real quick, I just wanted to mention that there are other incentive schemes, involving the stability of the system. So, for example, the governance token or Trustline credit network token playing a similar role to MakerDAO as well. But the main incentive here is the just the ability to earn yields and benefit from the system by participating in it.
Okay, let's talk about those tokenomics, those quantitative and qualitative incentives with the token, because are you planning to have inflation or deflationary system? What is your position about that?
Yeah, so this is a good question because how that actually works out in practice, there's the monetary policy of ORE is dictated by participants. So again, that's people who are providing ORE liquidity. So these are people who I call shareholders or equity holders in the system. They provide a form of collateral that allows ORE to be minted and held in reserves. And then the ORE reserves, basically, it's like a bank, right? You can then issue a loan asset with those reserves. And everyone who owns equity share in the system reaps the reward based on repayments of debt that is created through probity. So, and probity is the smart contract system that is facilitating basically everything happening in the system. Primarily like this lending activity. So is there inflation or deflation? Well, what I can tell you is that there's definitely, the amount of ORE in circulation will change based on how much liquidity people are providing, and then also how much demand there is. So, you see kind of like this interest rate that's going to float around in order to kind of come to like an equilibrium of supply and demand between, involving the amount of ORE that's in the system. And so you expect it to work just like your regular supply and demand for loanable funds, this model in economics, in the sense that, these two curves of supply and demand will influence like what is the cost of taking out this loan, or what is the yield that I can get by providing liquidity to the system.
Nice. And the governance token will be distributed, or can we just get it from the rewards that we have been talking about? How can we get that token?
Yeah, this is still a lot to be, determined and shared at a later time. But I can tell you that how it's going to be distributed is directly related to participation in the network. So the goal with the governance token is to incentivize participation, incentivize people who are good actors, doing things in good faith, helping to grow the ecosystem. And these are the people who should have a say in how the system works.
Nice. So if you want, you can come whenever you want to the channel. We keep in contact. because as the Flare network is planned to launch on May, June, or even July. I hope that before July we have it. What is your roadmap related to those figures, to those dates?
Yeah, so the roadmap is, I would say it's pretty aggressive. So planning to get something out there as soon as possible for testing to commence. I think it's important for people to get familiarity with it, and also just general testing, figure out if there's any bugs, run a bug bounty program. There's going to be audits. So that's actually the main blocker here, is that these teams who are performing audits are quite busy. So I expect that the first audit will be taking place at least 2 months from now. So, you can expect something on the testnet maybe a month to 6 weeks from now, hopefully. And mainnet launch following those audits. I think it's quite important that we have stable foundation that's secure, audited, and ready to perform on the mainnet for with everyone assured that it's ready to perform.
Wonderful, wonderful. This kind of projects that let us build over the project are quite chaotic, because we have tons of ideas of how can we build over, for example, the XRPL, and tons of us think about the XRP and even Flare as well. I can start a social media platform and I can teach people about this. I started my channel thanks to Flare because of the tutorial of how to get those spark, yeah, things like that. So yeah, I think that we can see those projects as things that logically maybe replicated into Flare. Like you have Maker, you will have something related to that in the protocol, in the new network, and this is more or less like the logical reasons. But just to finish the conversation, why did you start the project? What was your why?
Well, first of all, it's really great that you're creating this channel and helping to spread information about Flare, which is a really great project that I'm just so excited to see as you are to come to fruition. So why did I start this project? That's a really good question. I think there are some personal reasons, but also just generally because I feel there's a huge need for something like this. There's just too many people who don't actually have what a lot of us take for granted, which is this credit system where people are excluded. And so I think ultimately, if the vision can be realized, it's a project that can bring net benefit and value to the world. That is what's really driving me, is the ability to improve the state of the world in some way, And I think DeFi is the right vehicle for me to do that, coming from my background. And it's just really, really exciting. So I'm having a lot of fun doing it too. So that's also a huge driver.
Nice, nice. So we can have a second round later, maybe after the launch or weeks, months before the launch of the app, in order to gain momentum, as the channel is called, gain momentum for you to have the support from us, because we are mainly from Spain, but also from Mexico. Tons of people in the channel from Mexico, from Colombia, from Argentina. So they see the US dollar as we see the euro, like something more or less stable or really stable compared to their local currencies. So they may be more interested in the app than we are in Spain, because as you can imagine, here in Spain, we have the euro, and it's our main currency. We use dollars for some issues, but not as much as people from the US. We also have people from the US and also people from America, from Latin America. Okay. So it was a pleasure to talk with you about these things. Yeah, you are invited to the next one.
Well, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure, speaking with you, and I would absolutely be delighted to come back. So thank you.